Hello and welcome back to OT, the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time, and how to spend it. My name is Andy Green.
Green dials are where it's at. My name is Felix Schultz. How are you, Andy?
Green with envy.
What are you envious of?
What we're about to talk about. All the new AP and PP releases from Watches and Wonders. It's Patek and Audemars.
Audemars Piguet and the Patek Philippe to give these two grandes maisons their proper respect. I don't think we need to talk about what's been happening, Andy. I think we need to get into the hottest, most controversial, most superlative in general watch of Watches and Wonders. What can I be talking about, Andy? There's only one watch that it can be.
Yeah. Controversial. Safe to say controversial. The Audemars Royal Oak Concept Black Panther. So hard watch to miss if you're into watches. Powered by vibranium, of course. What's the hot take from you, Felix?
Well, I mean, before we get to the hot take, let's talk a little bit about the story. Earlier this year, AP teased an upcoming collaboration with Marvel, which is pretty giant. Like Marvel is, it's a money machine. It's they own everything. They've got their fingers in every sort of pie, and it makes sense to have some sort of high-end watchmaking collaboration. And there was a lot of anticipation about what it was going to look like. It was released on the weekend in America.
Yep. Kevin Hart was involved with the launch.
Yeah, I mean, it was bells and whistles. And they released a one-off concept piece that was auctioned off immediately for like 5.2 mil.
Yep, for charity, yeah.
And that was a charity piece, and everyone agrees that's a great thing. And there was a 250-piece limited edition watch. I think this concept.
This is it, yeah. So the purple strap, purple in a flange, and then, I mean,
Black Panther.
It has a 3D Black Panther character on the dial.
Yeah, so
crouched above the tourbillon.
My initial take was one of surprise, Andy Green. How about yours?
Yeah, same. I was kind of like, did this really happen? And then it happened. I'm not offended. I know a lot of people are.
Yeah. I'm going to read you a bit of the text message thread with my brother, who, occasionally sends me questions about watches. Thoughts on the Marvel AP collab? Me.
When Morgie knows. That's when it's hit the mainstream.
Well, how could you miss? He's a giant Marvel fan. What can I say? He's on all the forums. My reply was, on brand, smart, but also tacky. On brand how? And I said they have a history of big, flashy collaborations. The famous one was the Arnie End of Days. And then he's gone, there's a lot of Hadinki comments say it's ruining the brand, legacy of the Royal Oak, etc. My response to that, and I'm prepared to take some heat for this, nerds always say that shit.
You know what? So I had a really good chat with a friend about this. And like I said, I'm not offended by it. I do think that stylistically, there's probably a missed opportunity to really, and design-wise, pull apart some of the really great sort of Black Panther motifs and patterns. There's sort of like glimpses of it. The case back, I think, looks better. I think that it is a pretty bold move, but also at the same time, people are talking about the price being around, I think it's like $250,000 Aussie or maybe even a bit more, and the brashness of it all. And like, I'm not offended. Rich people spend big amounts of money in really obnoxious ways. Like that's like probably like a private jet charter for someone somewhere. Also, partnering with Marvel isn't to win watch people over, it's to win not watch people over that have a lot of money to spend. Like there'd be, like you said, some really rich nerds that would absolutely
not even nerds. I think we've moved beyond, comic books being for nerds.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I think this is the mainstream. Like if you like Iron Man, like what the X-Men movie was the year 2000 and Iron Man was a few years later. These are now like 20-year-old people that have grown up with these franchises being a formative part of their identity. Like I think it's bigger than that. And it is, I really agree with you about, and I was chatting to someone as well about the being surprised by the fact that they went for a full-on Black Panther figure on the dial. Because for me, that movie, the strongest thing about it was that visual identity of Wakanda and that Afrofuturism motifs that they, even in the font, the typefaces, everything was such a clear identity, and it sort of missed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's but it'll sell.
But you know what? And watches are always different blown up. Like I'd bet $1,000 that from 5 meters away, on the wrist, you're not gonna be able to see it in so much detail, and it's not going to be as huge a deal. This is a novelty for people
And
that are really into it,
and
this is a novelty piece.
yeah, it's literally a novelty.
This is just like redefining what a novelty is. Like to some people, and this is what I said to my mate, was like to some people a novelty is ground complications and koi
New
fish swimming
dials.
around the dial, or bird cages that open up, and to others it's their favorite superhero in the world, on the dial that's been made from hand painted white gold,
beautiful, hours and
that's
hours of
taken
work.
dozens of hours to do. So I always find it funny, and this is releases like these are nice reminders for me,
Not to take it too seriously.
Not to take it too seriously, and not to kind of genuinely get upset or offended by releases that I'm not in a position to buy this, even if I could. So
it is. I want to ask you a question, but also someone else on the internet. One of the, I think it was another watch journalist made. I can't remember. I apologize who it was. A really good comment of like, people every year, a lot of watch brands release Chinese New Year watches, and they've got fairly similar graphical representations of a lunar, animal. People don't get up in on, and they're often like pretty tacky.
What about the erotica watches?
Yeah, no one seems to be, getting up in arms about that. The question I want to ask you and bring you back to my brother, because everything is. Do you think this hurts the AP brand?
Again, this is something I've thought about in the last sort of 48 hours. Not the brand. AP, with their positioning, with their availability, with the direction that they've taken over the last few years, it's not an attainable brand for most people.
No.
If you save up your 35K to go get your Royal Oak that you've been dreaming about since you were a 20-year-old, you're not going to be able to go get it without dropping significant money. They don't make enough watches to be that brand anymore. They're too popular to be that brand anymore. So the people that this is going to potentially turn away probably weren't ever going to be customers new. Yep. And the hype and the resale attached to the Royal Oak model anyway is so strong and so overwhelming for the brand. So I don't think they're going to lose customers. Like, to me, they're not trying to win customers, and they certainly haven't been acting that way in the last few years. It's sort of like trying to lose them. So maybe this is what they're.
Well, I mean,
up to.
I think they're focusing on the ones they've got and changing their customer base from that sort of the ones that the circles we hang out in. To be honest, I 100% agree. I do think that there's opportunities missed for more creative interpretation.
I think so too. No, that's the main sort of disappointment here, is because not having that motif on that character on the front, putting it on the back, and then having that texture and the way that you could have used the purple and the lighting and and lume to really bring it alive would be a watch that I would absolutely dream over. But that's okay. That's not for me. I want to say though, the landing page they have set up for this is remarkable.
I was going to say that too. Like,
it's stunning.
It's almost
as a guy who works in the digital space, it is.
You know what I mean?
Better than the watch. So it is incredible. Like, it's actually an incredible.
And because it uses the motifs of Black Panther, like the world.
Like that purple lightning vibe.
Except not the dude. You know what, Andy, though? The superhero chat isn't done.
No?
No. I cut you out of the loop, to be honest.
Yeah,
well. I called up our mate Tim Mosso from WatchBox. We had a little chat about superheroes. Do you want to hear about it?
I can't wait.
Let's do it. Today's episode is brought to you by WatchBox. WatchBox is the world's leading platform for the buying, selling and trading of pre-owned luxury watches, fueled by technology, innovation and unmatched global experience in the high-end watch market. And today we have an exciting mini guest, Tim Mosso. Welcome to OT the podcast again.
Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
It really is my pleasure. And today I'm hoping we've got a little bit of a short, fun one. And it's sort of funny timing on this. We're recording this after Watches and Wonders, when suddenly everyone's talking about superheroes on watches. And we've come up with a little hypothetical scenario with a handful of various superheroes from across the Marvel and DC universes. No APs are featured in this little video, but we are trying to match watches to superheroes. So, and I want to get your take on how well I've done with my selects. Are you up for that, Tim?
I think I am. Let's rock.
Well, the first one I thought let's start with one of the big ones, Batman. Now, Batman has worn a few watches across his career and even through comic books and film. And I've gone for one that I think featured. I think it was in the original Chris Nolan movie, but for me, I've always thought that Batman should wear a reverso. The reason for this is because, of course, he has that really marked dual personality of, Batman and Bruce Wayne, two faces, not to be confused with Two-Face, and plus he's, the epitome of a sort of a New York playboy to my mind, and I think the reverso fits very well within that mold. What do you think of that choice, Tim?
I think thematically, I really like the idea of having the watch with two different faces. I do think that because Batman and Bruce Wayne are so different, Bruce Wayne is the mask, he's the put on, he's the sort of a red herring, so to speak. I think Batman would wear something completely utilitarian because he's not putting on airs. He just needs something rugged and something that's non-identifying, so fairly generic. I would go with the Casio DW5600 family G-Shock
Nice.
for Batman.
Yeah, right.
For Bruce Wayne, I could definitely see him wearing a reverso of some kind, but it would have to be something spectacular. I mean, like a Richard Mille level reverso. Either the new quadriptyque or the triptyque before that. Or I think because he is a playboy, he is a distraction in the best possible way to draw attention away from Batman. I think something like a De Bethune Dreamwatch 5 Meteorite with a jump hour, a meteorite case, and a tourbillon. For the man who has everything and the money to buy it, that's the Bruce Wayne watch, I think.
Yeah, that's. I hadn't thought about Richard Mille for Batman, but that is a very good call. And I think this. So the next one I want to talk about is, of course, Superman / Clark Kent. And I think I've sort of maybe in my head conveniently skirted around the fact of, do superheroes themselves wear watches? Because that is that, are they wearing it under their suit? I don't know how I deal with that. That's sort of part of the fantasy, I think. But for me, I don't think Superman would wear a watch at all because I think he's got an internal, processor that can handle that and all the complications well beyond what even the best Swiss watch could manage. But I think Superman / Clark Kent, for me, he is the most American of the superheroes. He is like even more so than Captain America. So I've gone with a very great heritage American brand, and I could have gone with Timex, but in the end, for some reason, I went with a simple vintage Bulova that probably belonged to his adopted father, something with, fancy lugs and, maybe a presentation dial from one of those, like the company that he worked for 25 years, that sort of real Americana story for Clark Kent. What do you think about that one?
So you're saying like an RGM from out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania?
No,
that
I'm
sort of
going
thing?
Bulova. I reckon it's like an old Bulova with maybe fancy lugs on a Speedle bracelet and a dial
Okay.
that he got given from the company for 20 years of work, a presentation watch.
Yeah, I mean, Superman is fascinating to me because unlike Batman, who's really two different personas, but he's really Batman, I think Clark Kent and Superman are really one and the same. The old joke is that it's, the only difference is the glasses. How can no one notice? But I also think that from a persona and a value and a behavior standpoint, they're really the same person. Um, you know, I think it's kind of nice to imagine some sort of family heirloom being passed down through the Kent family because Superman is adopted. It would give him a strong connection to his roots, and depending on which era of Superman we're talking about, his parents either are or not still alive. So they either are or they're not. And I think particularly in those storylines where they are not, that would be really meaningful, and I think do a great job of tying him to Earth.
Yep.
Rather than Krypton. And I think a lot of those stories that try to tie Superman to Krypton and bring all these alien elements into the storyline are a lot less compelling than when we have storylines where Superman is protecting his friends and his families and his colleagues. That said, I would see Superman and Clark Kent as wearing a watch because Clark Kent, he works a day job.
Yeah.
He has a 9 to 5 beat as a reporter. He's got to make deadlines. He's got to be places and meet people. He has to conduct interviews. So I feel like he's a working man who would need a reliable watch. But As Superman, he'd also need a tough watch, and since he is an aviator just without an airplane, a tough pilot's watch would make a lot of sense.
I,
So I see something like...
I like where you're going with this.
I'm stretching it a bit, but I think a Zinn Easy M10 test-off would be great for him because he flies at super speed, so, he's got a lot of heat to deal with, and this watch can deal with a lot of heat. It's very tough. It's a pilot's watch. It can be used for timing, keeping, his appointments as a reporter, and I also think that because he's a fairly big guy, he's got the wrist for 45 millimeters, 44 millimeters.
That is incredible. I knew a Zinn had to make it into this list somewhere, so I'm happy that it's there. That's good. That was precisely my thinking about that, sort of tying back to his family and I think the day job link. Yeah, of all the superheroes here, Clark Kent is the one with the most real world concerns that needs a watch. Moving on to someone that doesn't have much in the way of real world concerns is Iron Man. I think someone you can have a lot of fun with watches an Iron Man, and he's had some great watches on screen and in his sort of Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man persona as well. I mean, notably there's Urwerk. For me, though, I have gone in two directions. I think Russian Mill is a really obvious one here, and it suits him to the ground. But I actually think Iron Man would be the kind of guy to have a custom, one-of-a-kind, destroyed the designs after it's been made, Grubel Forsey. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Grubel Forsey was something that I had initially kind of toyed with for Bruce Wayne, but with Bruce Wayne, I see him being kind of like a hip persona, so I went with de Bethune because it seems, I don't know, a little bit more youthful. Grubel Forsey to me is it's like the ultimate watch, but it seems more age appropriate, whereas I think de Bethune seems like something that a younger man, like a playboy, might buy. With Iron Man, traditionally Tony Stark has been, other than the hipster portrayal by Robert Downey, Tony Stark was always a little bit more of a conservative figure in the comics. Among other things, he was Secretary of Defense, a weapons contractor. So Grubel Forsey might be right for him. I also think, though, he's got FU money, and he's got that kind of money in the best way. And clearly, he's not entirely establishment since, this is a guy who fights crime in a powered suit of armor. So, he's not just a comic book version of Donald Rumsfeld. So I could see him doing something a little bit unusual. Like, he's got all the software in the world to keep track of time. I feel like he would showcase his money and his flamboyance with something like a custom watch, like you mentioned, and I think individualism is great, but I see it as a Beat Haldeman.
Oh.
And if I had to pick one in particular, I would say the flying sculpture with minute repeater, the H3. So over $800,000 for a watch that has no hands.
Yeah, okay.
It's made bespoke.
Yep. That's that tracks. I think we're on the same path there. Let's see where we both went with Wolverine.
Okay.
For me, this was pretty easy. In my mind, Wolverine just doesn't care about watches. He doesn't need to think about. He doesn't care about watches as symbols of something beyond purpose. So obviously, I just went with G-Shock. I think he would have whatever G-Shock fitted his needs at that time the most, probably just whatever he'd been wearing. He would have maybe bought it 10, 15 years ago, and just because it hadn't died yet, he'd still have it.
It's a good kind of approach because I looked at him as someone who wouldn't conscience a luxury. Yeah. And so for me, I would envision him having a watch, but only in the sense that he has shoes and he has pants and he has, I guess, maybe a van or something to get around. Like purely utilitarian. I would see him wearing like a Seiko because it's a watch you can afford to break. You can bend it over your knuckles and use it as a brass knuckle and not miss it. Yep. And, his past does wind through Japan.
True.
If you cut back in his biography, you do find that he spends quite a bit of time there. So there might be something from a sensibility standpoint from his past history and his many lives, the length he's lived, that would endear him to the Seiko or endear it to him. Yep. So basically just a Seiko Prospects and, I can even imagine him like shoplifting it because he's an anti-hero type, or a smash and grab.
Or even a bit more like maybe he just bought it at duty free. Like, I think of all the people on this list, he's the most
I
simple.
think he's the one. In my opinion, he would. I can't imagine him just buying a watch. I think at some point he'd be in a fight. He'd cut some guy's arm off at the elbow, and he'd take the watch off the arm. That's where he'd get the watch.
Nice. I've got a sub-note about Wolverine, though. What do you think? I think in terms of a story arc, a watch brand would be a great, like a corporate watch brand would be a great villain because they want to get hands on adamantium to use in watch cases. I just think watch brands would love that.
Honestly, I've seen crazier things. After all, Linda Verdlin had a whole graphic novel commission. So have I seen crazier things than that? Yes. Could I imagine Marvel? Marvel loves money. So I would say almost nothing is off the table. And there have been way worse X-Men storylines. Rest assured, there's been a million times worse. I'm not sure I would sign off on that if I worked at the Marvel Death Star. But
well, let's see what Watches and
right?
Wonders 2022 brings. Maybe we can make it happen.
My guess is you're not machining adamantium or stamping it. And Rolex stamps its watches.
And finally, I thought we would talk about Wonder Woman. Now, this one, I think it sort of challenged me the most. I really liked in the first movie. I'm not too familiar with Wonder Woman from the comic point of view. I liked in the first movie there was a bit of a tie-in with Bulgari, and I thought from a sort of a corporate brand tie-in that worked really, really well. And you can make a good argument for it these days. But I ended up going with Breguet because I think it has to be a strong heritage brand and has to be quite classically styled. And the argument I ended up making was for an actual pocket watch made by Breguet himself. So I can see Wonder Woman / Diana carrying that around as something she's picked up through history. But also because Wonder Woman has the braces that she wears, I think it makes a lot of sense for her not to have to take a watch on and off.
Okay. I think I'm definitely tracking with you concerning something picked up like in the course of human history. Something that reflects the fact that she is a god and an immortal, and so she's been around longer than any of these other heroes. I had her, because she's sort of watching, from Themyscira, she's sort of watching the world of man from a distance over time. And because she has to blend in when she's there, especially when she's Diana Prince, she would be looking for cues regarding what was appropriate, for a woman to wear. She wouldn't wear something, I think, frilly and diamond covered. But I think, like, if you look at the original Rolex Oyster Perpetual, and before that, the Rolex Oyster, Mercedes Gleitze was famous for wearing those watches as one of the first Rolex kind of endorsers.
Yep.
And I think she would have seen, this is a high quality, durable watch that a woman in the world of conventional men would wear. And so I'm thinking like an early Oyster, or even like an Oyster Perpetual bubble back, like a 2764 or 3458.
That's a really good call.
To blend in.
Yeah. I was sort of thinking, something she, picked up from Abraham during the French Revolution, or sort of that Napoleonic era, like went to the shop in between, I don't know, saving the world. But Rolex, I think you're absolutely right in terms of keeping up with current tastes. That's a really good select. Well, Tim, I don't know what to say. What superhero do you wonder about wearing a watch the most?
I thought you were going to ask me something hard, like one of the new gods, like, like Orion or Light Ray, or you could be like, what would Jack Knight as Starman wear? And I'd be like, oh God, I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, that's tapped out my comic knowledge. So yeah, I kept it to the movie adaptations to keep it friendly. I think we could do this again.
Yeah, let's do it again. I'm going to say Jack Knight, being a hero of the 90s, would have worn a watch of the 90s. So probably a 1990s Casio G-Shock.
Maybe an Oakley.
You never know. I mean, after all, he is a flamboyant character, and he was an antique stealer. So maybe, despite being a 90s hero, he would be that pocket watch guy after all.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Tim. It's, as always, lovely to chat to you. And, we'll link all these selects up as much as we can, or at least our sort of thoughts on them. So, and remember, when shopping at thewatchbox.com, you can enjoy guaranteed authenticity, 2 years warranty, and free express global shipping. So whether you're in the market for a new watch, looking to sell, or even trade, hit up WatchBox today at thewatchbox.com. buy world-class timepieces with confidence and convenience. See you later, Tim.
Au revoir. Merci.
No, Felix, I'm shattered. I missed that chat with Tim, but
I'm sure we'll have him back.
always great to have Tim Mosso on the show. He's perfectly matched for superhero talk.
We nerded out in different ways.
Let's talk about the other new APs we've seen sort of this year. Obviously not Watches and Wonders releases, but still I don't think we've really chatted about them before. So the first one, which I really like, the Royal Oak Jumbo Extra Thin 39mm with that green sort of fume dial in platinum.
Do you know what it's lacking though, Andy? It's missing something for me.
The Green Lantern on the dial.
Oof. Too soon. No tapisserie. Are they taking the tapestry off? They have. What do you think about that? So that's the big talking point there, is that they got rid of their iconic pattern.
Stunning. Like the sunburst looks killer. I think with the way that platinum reflects
Both reflect and refract.
the way the light hits the platinum in this, like when you actually get that out of a press pick and onto someone's wrist in the real world, is going to look really, really stunning. It's going to look nice and shiny. The sunburst style is going to be the perfect companion. I'm very into this.
Yeah, I mean, look, 39mm, 8.1 tall, beautiful size on the wrist. It's a pity we will never own one.
And only 100 pieces, so
yeah. What's next? That's not the only.
What's next is more green dials, but this time the tapisserie is back. We got the AP Royal Oak self-winding chronograph.
Yeah,
and we have flying tourbillons. So we have a couple of metal options, some gem setting, but the green dial, which is not sunbursty, so it's still quite nice.
I think it's lovely. I think I like what they're doing with these radial ones, sort of on the tourbillon models. I think that's a cool look. They're sort of playing with the design codes, and of course, for my pick, it's got to be yellow gold with the green dial.
Yeah, the chronograph. I like the white gold with the baguette cut emeralds around the bezel and the flying tourbillon.
Of course you do, Andy. But if that one isn't available for you, there is another gem set option, several other gem set options for your consideration,
yes.
Andy. Jumbo extra thin with diamonds, 39mm across. A couple of versions. Blue dial. I'm going to say that's a black dial, but there's probably some Swiss name like Verdi Charcoal.
It's black dial, yeah. Baby blue.
White gold. In that sort of, for me, it's a color, a shade of blue that is associated with another brand and platinum.
Baby blue. It's not ice blue. It's baby blue.
Okay. Have you ever seen a baby blue with its ice cold eyes? I don't know. I've got nothing there. What do you think? They've each got slightly over 1,100 diamonds on them, 7 carats apiece.
It's a couple of carats. I really like the pink gold with the baby blue dial with all the drip.
Do you know the best thing about it though, Andy?
The tapestry dial?
No. I was hoping you'd say drilled lugs, but I don't think it's got drilled.
We'll drill them in for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you could ask. Colour matched date wheel.
Yes.
Baby blue
that
date
is a
wheel.
Good detail.
I mean, yeah, that's enough for me. If you're maybe have slightly less in the way of budget, you can't handle 7 carats of diamonds, and you want something a bit more divery, what about the new Rue divers in 42mm?
Love the size. 42 is great. So there's 3 different new options here again. There's a sort of a grey, petroleum, navy-ish blue, and an olive green.
Yeah. Nice. I like what they're doing with these colorways.
Nice tones, yeah.
It's a bit more subtle, a little less in your face than a couple of years ago. They had all those neon.
It's come a long way in sort of 5-6 years, hasn't it?
Yeah. I also quite like on the khaki one that the details are sort of like almost a bronzy gold, like on the numerals and the
hands
the
and
bezel.
surrounds, yeah.
Yeah, solid. Anything else, Andy?
There's more. Royal Oak Self-Winding Chronograph 41 in a couple of new options as well. More gold, 18 karat pink gold, in fact. There's chalky brown, or there's, well, I don't know what they're going to call it, navy blue again. Tapisserie dial is there. There's no drilled lugs for you, obviously. But there's bracelet or alligator straps to choose from.
Sure. I mean, this is. I think the take home here is those contrasting subdials in gold. They give it quite a stunning look. They're Royal Oaks, man. What else do you need to say? Like they're all pretty
back
good
for the first time.
Ooh.
New movement. Flyback chrono is new.
That's from the one they debuted in the 1159 a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, the 4401, I believe. And that is, visible through the case back. So
Hey, we're not talking about prices on any of this stuff because what's the point?
there's no need.
And finally, ironically enough, there is a price for this one here in front of me. This is the Royal Oak Offshore self-winding flying tourbillon, flying something, flyback chronograph, 43 millimeters, 100 pieces, cool $250,000 245,000. Fairly wild look. What do you think?
I do like, and we see this with the Black Panther piece, that technically it's not a concept watch, but it's basically a concept watch as far as, the tech and the look, that they are getting a bit smaller. So 43 is, at least it's more wearable. I don't really like this though. AP do open work dials really nicely. This is not nice in my opinion.
It reminds me of overworked watch brand automotive collaborations of around 2009.
Yeah, it's like, we need to get the wheels and the steering wheel in there or something.
The press release will read, with vents resembling the automotive intake from the something, the power of fusion and speed is delivered through utmost sincerity. That's my take on this watch, basically.
Boom. What else? There's more.
Oh, mate. 1159s. And I think I can safely say that people with these releases, textile straps, like subtle, like sort of degradé grey dials, chronos with like highlight in, whatever the case metal is, in white or pink gold.
It's a two-tone case as well.
People will have gotten over their issues with the 1159. These are hot watches.
Yeah. What do you think of the case?
It's the case middle is a different.
Yeah.
What's in the middle?
I'm gonna say that it is like ceramic.
Oh yes, a black ceramic midsection. Yeah, sure, fine, cool.
Yeah.
I assume that was part of their whole shtick, designing that sort of modular construction of a case that they can.
Yeah, very modular, very modern as well.
I think it's nice. It's especially the pink gold. It's a sophisticated chronograph that looks modern. It looks like its own thing. I would happily wear that.
Yeah, I agree. 41,700 Swiss francs. So
you could slightly easy getting it than the equivalent Royal Oak as well, I reckon. Maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very contemporary. That smoke grey dial is quite nice as well on the pink gold that you like. Yeah. With the vertical brushing, you don't see that too often, I got to say. Normally it's radial.
It gives it a more industrial look, and I think with the textile strap, that's really. And I wonder if these were all in the pipeline, or they've gone, we need to really amp up the dials based on that sort of initial criticism of the 1159.
It's got that dome to it as well, which is something
they are technically phenomenal.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one? Like IRL?
I don't think I ever have.
They're amazing. Like,
I don't know.
They're.
I don't know anyone that owns an 1159, which is a shame because I know a few watch people and no one owns one. But I would love.
Any listeners out there with 1159s that live in Melbourne, reach out.
Yeah, please hit us up and we'll have a coffee because we need to see the AP. You're probably listening.
Yes.
Send us one out.
Well, I've seen one, and I can say they are phenomenal. Like and that was the whole thing when they were released was like, they look really crap. And we're like, all the journalists were like, well, they kind of do in press pictures, but you see them in real life and they're fairly impressive.
Stunning work. Stunning work.
Who else did stunning work? Andy?
Well, I think it's probably enough AP talk.
Please.
I don't think they've released anything else worth talking about. Huh?
Black Panther's enough for a good month of coverage.
That's enough superhero talk. What about Patek Philippe? Before we get into the releases, though, did Terry backflip on the kind of new archive business we were talking about the other week?
I'm not entirely sure what you mean there, Andy. I don't think Mr. Stern
spoke to his dad.
No, I think it's all part of
discussed it.
The grander strategic. I don't know.
This was marketing to cool the hype on the Patek Philippe brand.
Was it a shot across the bows?
I think he got told off.
You reckon?
Yeah. Spoke to my dad. His code for I got told off.
Well, look, I don't think Patek's going to spend with us anymore. They've heard that. They've heard you sledging.
You keep your money, Patek Philippe. We don't
wow. Would you say that someone's been a very naughty boy.
Go on then. Take it away.
New releases. So let's roll. They Patek dropped them in 2 batches, and it was quite.
Mhm.
They didn't tell anyone with the first one.
They just did it.
They just published it on the website, sent out a press release, and they're like, bam, bam, this is what we're doing. And that was all the Nautiluses, so we might as well talk about them first. Starting with the not insignificant 7118-1450R.
Speak to me.
It's a watch. It's a Nautilus. I'm going to say it's geared at women. 35.2 millimeters across, wavy dial, case in rose gold. Not that you can see the case because it is covered with 286 diamonds. Surely more than 286. Oh, yeah, total.
2,553 diamonds, Felix.
Oh, yeah, 286 was just the bezel.
It's like when you see one of those burgers that's like 2 really thin buns and it's just loaded full of topping and you forget it's not really a burger at that point. But
yeah, it's following the theoretical structure of a burger, but really it's a steak.
Do you think that it's someone's job to count the diamonds to make sure that there's 2,553 there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of money involved in making sure there's the right number of diamonds.
Yeah, just a heavy, painful job. It is.
And they'd have to quality control it, wouldn't they? Maybe that's what machines.
And they're all different sizes as well. Like it would be quite a painful setting process.
Yeah.
Because there's some patterning to the diamonds. Like it's not just the same diamond.
Yeah, kind of like the bracelet almost looks like scales or something. Like imagine a lizard that has skin like diamonds that they have turned into a strap, and that's what you got.
Paved.
Except it's a gold bracelet.
Absolutely dripping. Do you know what these diamonds have in common with you, Felix?
They're brilliant.
They're brilliant and internally flawless. You're welcome.
Also, they're top Wesselton.
Sparkly
green. The next Nautilus that was released, you know what? It was quite shocking. It did not have a single diamond on it.
No diamonds.
Not one. Tell us about it, Andy.
The 5991R Nautilus. That's right. R for rose gold, which is new for the travel time chrono, with the sunburst blue dial, which we've been talking about a little bit, on bracelet, in addition to just being, gold. Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Is this the must-have flex watch of 2021 from Patek?
No, I don't think this is. I think you know what the must-have flex is, but this is.
I would kind of pop this above that. Like,
would you?
Yeah, I think this is the proper.
Logic would say that this is the flex watch. Logic would say 100%.
Flex in a different way. Flex in the real world sense, and flex in that I care about Patek sense. Which I mean, I guess if you're spending this sort of money, it's essentially the same world, really, isn't it?
This is a stunning watch. This is truly beautiful. The Patek do some of the sort of the best blue dials that I've seen, especially when paired with rose gold.
Yeah, it's a good combo. Hey, it's a ridiculous question to ask. So this was previously available only in steel, yeah?
Yeah.
Would you take it in steel or rose gold?
100% rose gold. 100%. What about you?
Well, because it's a travel watch, I think I'd take it in. No, I don't know. I mean, these are such arbitrary questions, but it does look absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I'd probably take it in gold. Like, I don't.
You'd be mad not to.
I mean, the steel hype train's exactly that. It's a hype train.
The funny thing is that the watch we're about to talk about in a moment, which is in steel, is probably going to resell for more than that.
Oh, it's going to resell for, I think, all the other Pateks we're talking about combined. Pretty much.
Quarter million, I think, is the early prediction. But let's talk about this. I guess this is a new reference, technically, the 5711/1300A.
Green dial, who dis?
Green dial. So the final year of the Nautilus, I think we've talked about this, but it's coming in an olive green dial.
I don't think we haven't talked about it yet, have we?
Well, now we're doing it now.
Yeah, okay.
So they've done, two, I guess, technically. They've done it in steel, and then they've done it in steel with a brilliant baguette cut bezel, which is absolutely stunning. Yeah. 32 baguettes around the bezel, which is 3.6 carats roughly.
Sure. What's a carat between friends?
Pretty flexy, I got to say. This is pretty flexy in its own right.
And
But yeah, last year of the Nautilus, first we said we were continuing it. First we said we were discontinuing it. And then we said we're going to do a limited dial color for its final year.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, so my take on it, there was a bit of confusion early on in Watches Wonders, and I suspect there still is, about what was happening here. Like, a lot of people seem to think this is the new Nautilus, that this green
No, it's
dial
not right.
will be continuing for the next future. No, we're going to see that next year. This is the last. This is going to be made for the rest of the year, so it's going to be like, what, a couple of dozen pieces?
I imagine it'll be like in the hundreds. They don't make a heap.
But this is the last of the 5711. They've just, flipped. And didn't he say, like, when he announced it was being discontinued, that they were going to do something special with it?
Yeah, well, this is sort of like the last year, because this is what. So Patek is saying, I agree with you, because we were very confused ourselves. Patek is saying this is for the last year of production. We're doing it in the olive green dial to really mark that last year, and they're going to do something next year. But yeah, like most media are saying this is just the new Nautilus, and I don't think it is, but.
Well, I mean, and look, I think this will all sort of, we weren't rushing to publish, so we've had a bit of time to sort of sit and think about it and, take the analysis up. But I think, maybe it's them testing the waters on, like, playing that hyper trend of, like, a green dial, which, by the way, they're out there in real life on the gram. And it does look very subtle in real life.
Looks nice. This is the farewell edition, the farewell of the 5711 before it's something
before
new.
It's a 6711 or whatever they do.
Yeah, whatever it is. And again, Terry also got angry at someone for posting a leaked picture from an AD or something, and so it's who knows.
And of course, that brings us to the last of the Nautiluses, the 5711 1A, which is the same thing without baguette bezel. I don't know what you say. You're never going to see this watch. You're never going to get one, and it's all a bit silly.
But we'll use it as clickbait anyway. No, actually, I got, obviously, people know that I like green watches, and I got a lot of messages around the dial. I think it's beautiful.
Get it? Like, I know this is a silly question, because of course you would. But
no, you know what?
Yeah, okay.
To be completely honest, and this is a controversial episode by the way it's forming, I don't think I would buy Nautilus at retail price to keep.
Why not?
Not that I'm going to buy it to flip, but if I was going to buy a watch and I want to keep it, I don't think this is the watch. Like, I don't think at retail, ignore the resale value, please, everyone.
Yeah.
40K plus for this watch, it's unremarkable to me. I've got friends that own them.
Yes. Yeah.
That have paid half that 10 years ago, that have paid retail 2 years ago, whatever. It is a very expensive steel watch. And I think if I'm spending upwards of 40, I need to be doing something with precious metal, or with more than just like a time and date.
Or at least have a bracelet that's,
Yeah. This is something that's baffled me around.
I'd take an Aquanaut.
I would take an Aquanaut, because at least that feels cooler to me. Yeah. But even then, it's a lot of money for a steel watch. For me, it's
the juice
buying into
isn't worth the squeeze.
No, like it's honestly not. Getting one at retail is such a big challenge, but for the money I would be buying, there are so many great, better watches.
Head over to watchbox.com to have a look at
I mean, get a. It's my personal view. Sorry to offend anyone.
I mean, before we get cancelled from the Nautilus,
the watch internet.
One watch I think that is in some ways sort of the polar opposite of that underwhelming, simple steel sports watch, is the next Patek we're going to talk about, which was released on the 12th. I don't know everything about this. I don't know too much about this. So please, this is going to be fairly light. This is the 5236P, a grand comp with a linear display. A linear calendar.
Stunning, Felix. So 41.3 millimeters in diameter, a slim 11.07 millimeters thick.
Piece of
stunning
perpetual calendar. That is that movement. The thing that got me, Andy, like aside from the calendar display,
which is new, right?
Yeah,
it's a whole new thing.
Whole new movement.
Seamless.
I think they have had similar displays on pocket watches before, maybe.
Maybe.
I thought they've done a
maybe.
similar, maybe not as seamless, but that single line. Yeah. I could be wrong there, and I probably am. I got the what
Platinum
did
as
I
well,
get
we
wrong?
should
I
say.
got the G forces wrong.
Yeah. They keep the listeners on their toes, mate. Solar platinum.
Yep.
Gorgeous. Goes so well with the blue. This is going to have some presence at that sort of 41K size. Those lugs aren't short, so yeah, there's going to be some weight to this in every sense. But
the thing that I was, before I got distracted, the thing that most impresses me about this is the bridge alignment. That is a beautiful movement. There's a micro rotor on there. I mean, it's a perpetual calendar, so I understand why you want it automatic.
I like this. I like, go back to the size for a second. I'd say it's a bit chunky, but like it's put to work. It's this size for a reason,
Yep.
and it came in at this size. They've built this watch around the movement.
Yep.
They haven't built the watch and then plugged in a different movement and sort of been like, oh, what do we do? I'm totally here for this. This is beautiful.
Yeah, and I think the dial design is very, very elegant.
It's multifaceted too, right? So it's got that vertical satin finish, but it's also got a gradient around
vertical brush. There's a trend. Vertical brush.
Vertical brush is the thing, but gradient as well. They've mixed the two.
It just looks hybrid, and I love the handset. Those super elegant thin hands. It's I don't know. It's the bee's knees.
It's brains, it's beauty, and it's historically important.
Yeah. You know what else is historically important, but a little more attainable, let's say. Classic, and I think it's a Patek that has been, I would say, unloved in recent years, or sort of gone a bit under the radar. The classic Calatravas.
Okay, talk to me.
2 new references with Clou de Paris bezels, made famous by Ryan Gosling and Drive. We are talking about the 6119G in white gold and the 6119R in, obviously, rose gold.
Beautiful.
Black dial and, white gold hardware on the white gold, and ivory and rose on the rose gold. What do you think?
Talk to me about that black dial. Satin finish again.
Again, vertical satin finish. Charcoal grey. Sorry, not. Hey, I was right. I knew they wouldn't call it a black dial.
Charcoal.
It's anthracite de charcoal. Yeah, and I think it's, again, it is a 39 mil, 8.1 mil tall, slender, slim, classic small seconds elegance. The Calatrava is a great watch, and this is a great example. I would, if I had this watch, I would take it off the strap it comes on, though. Glossy gator.
NATO or something?
Yeah, well, I'd probably put it on some sort of slightly distressed nubuck strap I got from the Hodinkee shop.
Kangaroo or something. It's so that bezel, what do we call that? Hobnail.
Clou de Paris, which is hobnail.
Hobnail, yeah, which is sort of the traditional wind the Calatrava clock back 20, 30 years, and this was much more common.
Yeah.
Albeit probably not in the 39 millimeter diameter.
It's just a nice watch, man. And for the price, you're going to be able to get this. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece.
That 30 US precious metal Patek. That's what I'm talking about. Like, but it'll help. Maybe you buy a few of these. It'll help you get that Nautilus.
And last, but very much not least, Andy Green, I think this. I mean, again, talking about Nautiluses, I'm not sure what this one is worth. The 4947. It is a Patek Philippe annual calendar Calatrava case, 38 millimeters on a bracelet with an annual calendar display and moon phase.
Yeah, it's about 48 US.
How much? I would take this over a Nautilus every day of the week. If you could make the water resistance a bit more, I would say that this is a sports watch.
What do you think is going on with this style? Is it like
crosshatched?
It looks like it looks like fabric.
It's to me. You've heard of linen dials?
Yeah,
this is a Gore-Tex style.
Shantung.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, Shantung
type
finish.
of silk.
So it's vertical and horizontal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I think it's really beautiful. It's classic.
The size is 38 as well, which is 11 mil thick.
Annual calendar.
Class.
automatic. This is for me like if I
linen. It's almost linen. It's like a blue linen dial.
yeah. I mean, if I'm going to spend money at some point in my life on Patek Philippe, this is realistically what I would be looking at: steel, some complication, elegant Calatrava style, and a bracelet. Like it's just
This is reminds me of is it the Neptune? The old Neptune.
yes, yeah. I get that. That sort of
vibes coming from it.
That's an interesting comparison, Andy. The forgotten sports watch.
Yeah. It's sort of Patek showing that they can.
It's like an everyday dressy Patek, like that. The other Calatravas we spoke about with the glossy gaiter straps, they're very much after five wear, but this is. I'd wear this, if I had a C-suite job, and I didn't really, feel like I needed to get on the 57.
This is very you. This is very. This is a wealthy Felix.
I think, this is and this is their core. This is the people that, love the brand and like that sort of old world classicism, but want something a bit more practical. And I think this is it. I think it's a really tidy watch.
Alrighty. Well, what's your pick from the APs we talked about and from the patties we talked about?
Well, this for the patties. I don't think we're allowed to refer to them as patties or PPs. That's
patties.
That is not respecting the Stearns legacy. This one, the 4947, and for the AP, again, for similar reasons of like just going a little left of obvious, I'm going to go that 1159 chrono on the textile strap in rose gold or pink gold.
I think we've got you at a good time after Watches and Wonders. You've got your quirk back. You're less exhausted.
Oh, mate,
well, I'm going to go.
I'm fired up about new product. What about you, Andy?
Fuck, I really want to go so for the AP, I'm going to go the Royal Oak extra thin jumbo 39mm. I think 39
is that the
for
platinum
jumbo
one?
is the right size. 18 karat white gold.
Okay, what dial?
Baby blue.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just flexing. Okay. I'm just going real icy on you all. Yep. For Patek. I think
Grand Comp. Do the Grand Comp.
I think the Grand Comp is
the best. It is the best watch.
Super cool. Yeah, I think it's to me it's the most interesting and most noteworthy. But
well, I mean, you went over budget choosing the Grand Comp.
Well, I've blown all the budgets. I've blown everyone's budgets. Felix,
what is it?
Great
Andy?
hustle.
Yeah, let's get it out.
Great hustle. Let's tick this off. Thank you to WatchBox for sponsoring today's episode, thewatchbox.com, and you can have a look at Patek, AP, all the great brands they've got on there.
Thanks.
Thank you to Tim.
Yeah, thanks to Tim
talking
Mosso.
to Felix, so I didn't have to. Very nice of you.
That was actually auditioning as a replacement host.
I can't compete with Tim, so I'm out. Like the honourable thing to do is just to
that was
design.
really, really good to chat to you again. Andy, if someone wants to complain about our lack of understanding of whatever I stuffed up this time,
otthepodcast@gmail.com. If it's the Patek Philippe lawyers telling us off, that's not our email. If you want to hit us on Instagram, it's ot.podcast. And if you like OT, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mothers, tell your neighbours, tell everyone, yell it from the rooftops, and we will be back soon.
Oh, very soon. We're still going with Watches and Wonders. We've got all these explorers to talk about.
So many explorers. Alrighty, see you, Felix. See you guys. See you, everyone.
Bye.